Good morning, everybody. I'm back. Actually, I think that came from the Terminator, didn't it?
Yeah.
I'll be back. But I saw one of those cartoons on the internet where Arnold Schwarzenegger had a wig like Johann Sebastian Bach, and it said, "I'll be back." So I'm going to start a series of talks, and I'll probably give one talk a month going forward, and also hold Doksan on that day. So trying to help out here because Roshi Shinko kind of committed to many things, and she has about 4 different programs going on. But I thought I would talk today about the 6 worlds or the 6 realms in Buddhism, which it said we transmigrate through them. And the 6 realms are the God realm or the heavenly realm, and then the fighting spirit realm or the angry realm of Asuras. And there's the human realm, the animal realm, the realm of hungry ghosts, and the hell realms. So, and we fall into these different realms in our life because we have a self-image, because we hold on to an image of ourself, and how we decide to protect that image determines which worlds we fall into. And at different times, we fall into different realms, and all of us have visited each one of these worlds in our lifetime. But due to our personality and karma, we might be more familiar with one or the other. And the teachings of the Buddha say that because of basic ignorance of the true reality of things, it gives rise to birth in the 6 worlds. If we don't see things as they are and are thrust into an uncertain situation, we try to manage that situation while maintaining our ego or self-image. And as the panic of facing that uncertainty and unfamiliar territory sets in, we try to grab something, anything, in order to find some security. And always when we grab the wrong thing. It's this bewilderment and desperation that causes birth in the 6 realms. And each realm has its own strategy for maintaining continuity and a constant image of self or ego. There's a resistance to open up to the spaciousness of one's being where dualistic clinging no longer applies. There's a great deal of effort needed to maintain the delusive image. And we keep grasping and holding on for fear of falling into the abyss. I mean, the sad truth is that we would rather be in a very uncomfortable situation that we're familiar with than step into the unknown space without limits. So we're familiar with confusion and self-righteousness and pride and aggression. And that provides a ground of being in which we're comfortable. And these attitudes and situations that give rise to them are grist for the mill and provide the content of our Zazen practice. But if you think you can bypass all of this, think again. We have to actually jump into the mouth of the demon in order to liberate ourselves. You know, one thought I have is maybe, our modern world, kind of speedy world, is, and then one of the things that prevents a barrier, in our practice, because in ancient times people traveled by foot, and it took a long time to reach their destination. Today we can go halfway around the world in a day. And they used to cook soup over a wooden fire. There were no microwaves. And we want everything faster. If one of the applications on our computer takes 5 seconds to load, we're sitting there tapping our fingers, impatiently. And we want everything faster. That includes enlightenment. I think the Catholic Church used to sell indulgences so that you could go to heaven. It was a thriving business. Maybe if we sell enlightenment indulgences as a fundraiser, it would really take care of all the financial problems of the Zen Center. But if we can cultivate patience, that will help us deal with a lot of the issues in our life. If we're patient, then what really bothers us? And that's why patience is one of the paramitas, which are aspects of the enlightened person. Now, the question might arise in your mind, I'm going to talk about it right now, is why would the God realm or the heavenly realm be considered to be an undesirable place to hang out? Sounds pretty good, doesn't it? There are many blissful and transcendent experiences that arise from our effort that goes into our meditative states, but the problem is that if we realize these meditative states and maintain attachment to the self or the ego, then we're just reinforcing our self-image. So instead of experiencing the limitless space, we experience the self-absorption of limited space, of limitless space. The self-absorption of limitless consciousness and the self-absorption of non-dwelling. So instead of just realizing this limitless space, we take credit for it. I'm realizing it. I'm the one who is enlightened. I'm the one who went to heaven. And so what starts as a most satisfactory or experience is easily transformed into indulgence. Our task here is to transform indulgence into spaciousness, where wisdom can arise. And then another thing is that those in the heavenly realms become complacent too, self-satisfied. So if your karma were like a bank account, a savings account, and you practice hard. Of course, we chant that we dedicate all of the merits, of our practice to others. But if you had a bank account and as you practice hard and realize things, you were putting money into your bank account and you're accumulating good karma points, and then you start dwelling in the heavenly realms, what you're doing there is you're withdrawing the merit out of your bank account. And then when it gets exhausted, you no longer have any sway, and then you descend or transform into another realm. It's a very difficult koan in the Book of Equanimity. It's case 11, where Master Uman talks about the 4 sicknesses of practice, as case 11. And he said, when the light doesn't penetrate completely, there are 2 kinds of sicknesses. When you're not quite clear and there are things in front of you, that's one sickness. So, and we chant in the identity of relative and absolute, to encounter the absolute is not yet enlightenment. And there's still something separate, so the light hasn't totally penetrated. And then he says, even though you thoroughly penetrate the emptiness of all dharmas, there still seems to be something. In this also the light has not yet penetrated completely. So we could say that if you experience spaciousness, unlimited spaciousness, and there's just a single thread of hair dangling in that space, it can expand and become all kinds, multitude of things. He's saying that the light has to fully penetrate if there's anything there that obscures it. And what is it that obscures it? Like I was saying, it always comes back to our own ego attachment. So one time a student asked Uman, he said, what is most urgent for me? What's the most urgent thing for me to practice? And Uman responded, the very you that is afraid he doesn't know. It's turning it right back around. What's most urgent for me? I'm desperate. You have to really become familiar with that desperate one. And another time a student said, what's wrong with someone who is in the dark about himself or herself? And Uman answered, that not ought to be a problem for a great person. In other words, being totally confused isn't a problem for a great person. And what's a great person? Someone who's not confused, who's not worried about being confused. It would be very refreshing, wouldn't it, to hear one of these politicians say, When somebody asks them how they're going to solve this problem, say, gee, I don't know. But yeah, we'll really work hard on it, see what we can do about it. But I don't know. And then people will say, that's not a strong leader. They'd rather have somebody say they're eating cats and dogs. I want somebody who's really firm. So if we put aside all of this and carefully examine, who is it that's breathing? How do you stop the suffering? Don't try to find absolute truth and rest there. As soon as you think you found the truth and rest there, then you're stuck in that position. So when Uman was about to die, he wrote this poem. Oh, the boat of compassion having been destroyed, samsara will not attain the shore of salvation. The Dharma mountain having crumbled, what have flying and walking creatures left to rely upon? See, right there in his death poem, he's saying not to dwell anywhere. What have you got to rely on? Everything crumbles away. But the funny thing is, after his death, his body didn't decay. You know, it was on display in his monastery for over 1,000 years. Even though he says everything crumbles, but eventually did, because during the Chinese Revolution, the monastery was destroyed and his body was lost. So the Dharma mountain finally crumbled. So what is there to rely upon? So in our meditative practice, there's a self-conscious element, such as I am experiencing emptiness. I am experiencing clarity. That leads to the realm of the gods, which is the ego's version of spirituality. And this kind of spirituality is based on our hope and fear. Hope that we maintain it forever, and fear that we cannot. We fear that we'll fail. We desperately hope that we can reach this realm of pleasure rather than just enjoying pleasure. The realm of the gods is mostly blissful and self-satisfying, but the most painful part is thinking you have achieved something and want to dwell in it. Then it begins to start shaking up. And then anger arises. And then we fall into the realm of the Asuras. I heard this fictional story about a man who died and thought he went to heaven. And he was served wonderful meals. Beautiful women satisfied all of his desires. His every need was attended to, movies, music, books. Everything he wanted, love, food, sleep. And after a while, he became bored and wasn't fulfilled. With each passing day, his discomfort grew until finally he told his attendant, if this is heaven, I prefer to be in hell. And the attendant said, where do you think you are? So, what does that say? If we're not deeply comfortable and unappreciative of ourselves, we can turn anything wonderful into anything uncomfortable or unpleasant. So let me talk a little bit about the Ashura realm, or the realm of the angry or fighting spirits. So when we become disappointed with the God realm, you had thought that you had achieved the ultimate. And you don't recognize bliss because you're attached to it. So you fall into the realm of the angry, angry gods. And then when we're angry, we want results very quickly and speedily. And we don't make all the necessary preparations, you know. It's like wanting to go on an ocean voyage and forgetting to lay in the provisions. So you're out in the middle of the ocean, you want to make a meal, you don't have the food on hand. So, and you can't drive to a neighborhood grocery store. So there's a strange kind of logic at work in the Ashura realm. It's like being paranoid, but it's extremely efficient and accurate paranoia. When I was a teenager, my father was the superintendent of the state mental hospital in Arizona, in Phoenix. And they provided us with a house which was on the grounds of the mental hospital. So my playmates were the patients in the hospital. I know what you're thinking. So we had a wide range of, they had a wide range of mental and physical ailments, including schizophrenia. And like the logic in the Ashura realm, the logic in the schizophrenic realm is very precise, but it's very delusive. And it's based on narcissism. So a narcissist isn't just somebody who looks at their reflection in the mirror. It has a larger meaning. And it's always related that everything that happens in your life is personal. And a good example of that kind of narcissism is the story of Job in the Bible. And somebody quipped that the problem with Job was he took things personally. But as you know, if you've read that book in the Bible, Job was a pawn in the hands of God and the devil. Because the devil said that to God that Job was only devout because he had everything he wanted. He had a good life, he had a flock, and I think he had servants. And the devil said that if he didn't have a good life, he wouldn't be as devout as he is. And God disagreed. But so the devil said, let's put him to the test. And they did all kinds of horrible things the devil did to Job. And so Job and his associates tried to justify his suffering based entirely on this narcissistic mindset. So, So it's kind of a lose-lose situation when you're in that state. If you want to help an Ashura, they interpret your actions as laying a heavy trip on them. And they don't want to be helped. If you don't try to help them, it just reaffirms that you don't care for them. And you're just thinking in your own comfort. If you present several options to them as solutions to their problem, then they conclude that you're playing games with them. It's a very intelligent sense of mind, and it's a split mind that does not grasp the whole picture because their attachment to self is so big that nothing can be seen around it. So Ashuras are combative. Sometimes, we get in that mindset. We're combative. They have to defeat anyone and everyone who challenges their position. It's impossible to learn anything when you're in that Ashura realm. There's too much pride and fear of failure. But if by chance a precious teaching penetrates their armor, it's considered almost too precious to accept. And then the paranoid, schizophrenic attitude can arise. So being in this realm is kind of bleak, like the Scottish Highlands in the winter. But just like in the heavenly realms, in this realm, the Ashuras begin to feel a lot of confusion. They want certainty. They want to have some position of aloofness, pride, and dominance, and it's not possible. So uncertainty arises. And doubt is the seed of change. The three pillars of Zen are faith, determination, and doubt. Doubt seeks in. So the Ashura has to be willing to step into the confused state and forego the perceived security that they think their identity gives them. It's very hard to let go. So effort and patience and faith are needed. So the question might arise, who is being aware? And you are back in the God realm of self-absorption. Just as there can be thoughts without a thinker, there can be awareness without one being aware. You just need to move to a new dimension. The mind is good for thinking. But how can you be aware without grasping the mind? You need the right tools and skills for the job. Consider a grappling hook. It's good for throwing bales of hay or landing a large fish in a boat or carrying sides of beef, but it's no good for playing a clarinet or throwing a curveball or caressing your beloved. So what skills and tools are necessary to be aware without being self-absorbed? Consider these words of Master Bankei. He said, "You people try to stop your thoughts of clinging and craving from arising. And then by stopping them, you divide one mind into two. The original clinging thoughts that you were able to stop may have come to an end, but the subsequent thoughts concerned with your stopping them won't ever cease. Well, you might wonder, what can I do to stop them? Just let them come. Don't develop them any further. Don't attach to them. Without concerning yourself about whether to stop your rising thoughts or not to stop them, just don't bother with them. And then there's nothing else they can do but vanish. You can't have an argument with a fence. When there's no one there to fight with, things can't help but simply come to an end of themselves. So I think Bankei is talking about the Shuras, those in the fighting gods, those angry spirits. And we're just fighting with ourselves, So if we just no longer engage it, then what happens? In an argument, it takes two people to push against each other. If one person just isn't there, this person tries to find something, nothing to push against. So, same thing in our mind during Zazen. So I'll stop there, and next time I'll pick up with the human realm. So.